Welcome, everyone. My name is Cigus, and this presentation is about college. College. The important parts of the resume are these. Number one, I spent 41 years working in college and high school settings before I retired 2 years ago. So I know stuff. And I want you to test me with that because I can answer questions, because I have a deep experience with this, and I'm really keen on giving you the benefit of that experience. The first 15 years were at a college level. 12 of those 15 years were spent in admissions or working in the dean's office, and I read a total of 30,000 applications, 60,000 essays, and 90,000 letters of recommendation. Interviewed 1,500, 2,000 students, participated in decisions for about 10,000 students, and have a real deep background. I'm going to give you some images of colleges and hope you'll remember. Colleges are snowflakes. They're all different. They're all a little different. Can't really compare Temple and Drexel, can't really compare Drexel and Penn, can't really, because they're all different. They all look a little different, they all ask you for something a little bit different, they all have different types of requirements. So those of you who are seniors, you've probably dived into things called the Common Application or the Coalition Application, and you say to yourself, oh man, this is great. I can use this one application and apply to like 20,000 schools. Don't do that, by the way, right? But then you get the Common Application and you do the main part of it, and then you realize, wait, every one of these colleges also asks me their own questions. Snowflakes. Temple's questions are different from Drexel's, and Drexel's questions are different from Penn, and Penn's questions are different from Transylvania, and there really is a Transylvania University. It's in Kentucky. Seriously. Lexington, Kentucky, Transylvania University. So there really is. So I can't really tell you anything about colleges that's like totally the same. And what that means is that makes your job a little bit tougher because colleges are snowflakes. You have to figure out what sort of works for you and understand what you want from a college. And I'll talk about that at length later. Colleges are businesses. They don't always act with your best interests at heart because they're trying to make money, they're trying to gain prestige, they're trying to have rankings, all of this stuff. And then the last image, right, we've got snowflakes, we've got business, is quilt. Colleges are a quilt and not a blanket. What does that mean? Well, you know what a blanket looks like. It's the same stitch over and over again. Looks the same no matter where you pick it up. Not a quilt. A quilt is a series of patches. They're all a little bit different. They form smaller patterns, and they form a larger pattern that holds together. Well, colleges, especially the selective ones, admit on the basis of quilt, because they're not looking for the same student over and over again. So you market yourself in 3 ways. Anytime you visit the college and have an exchange with them, anytime you have an interview, and not all, very few colleges actually interview these days, and your application itself. Those are your marketing. So let's say, all right, so the next part is how do you choose a college? In my experience, what I've seen is that most students, even students who are pretty on the ball and aware, tend to approach the college search and selection process. Now, I'm going to use a very technical word here, ass backwards. Right? Instead of saying, what do I want for myself? What's important to me? What are my goals? What are my values? What are my interests? They instead look out there and they go, oh, I have to have that school. Well, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter as much where you go to college, it's how you go to college. Right? The first 2 items are cost and distance. Please, please, please have this conversation with your parents or guardians as soon as possible. Let me say one thing about cost. Don't go by the sticker price. If you look at the cost of colleges, you want to like fall down dead. It's like, but it's just like booking an airline. If you want to fly from here to St. Louis, you don't go on the internet and say, please give me the most expensive fare. You try to find the cheapest one. And that's what you do in college. So cost and distance then is followed by field of study. Do you need to know what you want to be when you grow up, when you go to college? If you go to school outside the US, yes. Here in the United States, no. You get until the end of your sophomore year to figure that out. Now, obviously, if you go into some specialty areas, if you're thinking about nursing, start with nursing, because it's impossible to catch up if you don't start with nursing. Same with engineering. Same with physical therapy, these kinds of things. If you're looking at a Bachelor of Music or a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Music, start with music, because 2/3 of your classes in your 4 years will be in music. If you're doing a BFA or a BM, can't jump in the middle. You'll never finish. You'll go for 5 years, which may be great for you. Your parents are like, no. So start in and do that. Okay? So field of study will make a difference. Some schools have phenomenal programs in certain areas. And if you don't know what you want, please, 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 undecided is not a dirty word. Sometimes people are like, oh, no, 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 no. And I can teach you a little trick. If you use the Common Application, they give you options. I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, blah, blah, blah. You can do undecided. But if you go down below undecided, there's the word other. And if you hit other, another box opens up, and you can tell them several different interests that you have. Ha-ha, tricky, because I know these applications to do. And then the last thing is opportunity for admission, which is a polite way of asking, can you get in? Not a dream crusher here, but we have to be a realist. There are some schools that expect you to be pretty much already in college before you even apply to their own college. So I usually ask my students to consider breaking down colleges to 3 different categories: reach schools, target schools, and likely schools. Okay? How many colleges should you apply to? 1, and get in. I know that doesn't happen, but you might be interested to know that 70% of the students in the United States apply to 1 college and get in. 70%. Think of all the students who don't apply to 4-year colleges and apply to community colleges. They apply to 1 school and get in. And think of the people who live in Kearney, Nebraska. If you wanted to go to college within 2 hours of your home, what are your choices? University of Nebraska, the University of Nebraska, and the University of Nebraska. So most students that I have will apply to somewhere between 6 and 8 schools. The national average is 1.8, again, because people tend to go to the 1 school. The average number that people apply to using the Common Application is 4.6. My world's record was 36. Yeah, I had somebody apply to 36 different colleges. Got into 8 of them, right? Okay, so one last topic now, the difference between and among admissions plans. Let me preface this by saying the United States is the only country that has differential admissions plans. If you're in any other part of the world, they would look at this and go, what's this? In fact, the colleges set a bar. If you are, I'm going to make this up, a B student and you have an SAT of 1100 or better, you're in. They don't wait to see who comes next. They take you. And when they are full, they stop. That's how rolling admissions works. So if you have a regular admit school, and let's say your deadline is December 1st, if I submit my application August 2nd, and you submit yours December 1st, we have an equal chance of getting in. Between the two. Early decision is binding, early action is not binding. That's the difference between the two. Okay? Early decision plans outnumber early action plans by about 2.5 to 1. So there's more schools that have early decision than have early action. The earliest deadline for an early action school is October 15th.